Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I've got butterflies in my tummy, Perna. Not because of NFL Week 1 jitters, but because I thought to properly follow a keto diet, you needed to eat a dozen monarch butterflies. I've been told since that is incorrect. However, we know football is finally here. Not because of the sweet sound of Rich Eisen's voice on NFL game day, not because the Browns look horrible again. No, it's that self-destructive masterpiece that is the Bills Mafia. A Bills fan plummeting through a table of fire lets us know football season is here. The Bills didn't even play at home. That is a woman doing the body slam, or PFT commenter, not sure. And even though he ultimately lost, Gardner Minshew is my new favorite non-Bronco in the NFL. And dear God, is Eric Weddle okay? I don't know how you get a gash in your head with a helmet on, but it looked like Tom Brady had his period on Eric Weddle's face, which until the Me Too movement was actually considered a sign of respect in the NFL. It was C-Mac's knee that busted up Weddle's head, giving McCaffrey the most dangerous knees in the NFL. Not Todd Gurley. Let's recap NFL Sunday, Week 1. Let's get some. The Rams defeated the Panthers 30-27 in that bloodbath. Other than Christian McCaffrey having to register his knees as deadly weapons, the surprise in this game was that Todd Gurley was definitely on a pitch count, even though Sean McVay said he would definitely not be on a pitch count. Gurley was incredibly efficient, 11 carries for 80 yards, averaging 7.3 yards per carry, while Malcolm Brown got to score all the touchdowns. Cam Newton's post-game attire looked like he asked his hat guy to give him something to make him look like Queen Elizabeth as a bedazzled Jack the Ripper. Cam Newton really does have a hat guy who designs him a hat every week. If I were in the NFL, I would do the same, but with a jockstrap guy, and he would just have to take pictures of me and my jockstrap though. The Chiefs beat the Jags 40-26. Patrick Mahomes finished Sunday with 3 touchdown passes. Not really a surprise, but all 3 touchdowns going to Sammy Watkins. Definitely a surprise. Watkins matched his 2018 season total for touchdowns in 1 week against the Jags, who didn't let Kansas City throw any touchdowns last year. They were the only team to do that to KC. Mahomes could have had more if he wasn't so damn cocky. He missed a wide open Travis Kecle because he thought it was a great time for a no-look pass, even though Kecle had everyone beat. Mahomes missed Kecle by a mile. This is what happens when you get too much positive attention for doing something you shouldn't. Like when a 3-year-old says fuck instead of truck, and all the adults laugh and encourage it. Next thing you know, he's expelled from preschool because his teacher thinks he wants to dump and fuck. And 20 years later, everyone is wondering why he's hanging around guys who should be in jail. Both Tyreek Hill and Nick Foles left this game with collarbone injuries. Nick Foles threw 1 touchdown before fracturing his clavicle, which will require surgery Monday. You might think this is bad news, but Nick Foles is most effective when his season starts in December. So this is part of the plan. He's out indefinitely, and Tyreek Hill is set to miss a few weeks with his injury. It's a fact, Gardner Minshew had the most draftable mustache in the 2019 draft. This preseason, though, we learned he could take a hit like a champ. Then he went on to complete 12 of 12 passes before Leonard Fournette decided it was the right time to have his first career fumble. Kansas City gave up 350 passing yards with 3 touchdowns in their victory, and Minshew finished with 2 TDs, 275 yards, going 22 of 25. These two teams looked like bitter division rivals fighting after almost every play. Myles Jack got ejected for throwing a punch, really proving why he deserves to be paid like Floyd Mayweather. Jack also activated his little kid's legs as they tried to drag him off the field.
No, I don't want to go to school, Papa. Patty Mahomes is gonna make me try to watch his dumb no-look magic tricks again. Papa, please.
Eagles defeat the Potatoes after starting the game down 17-0. Adrian Peterson was a healthy scratch in this game. Dumb move by the Skins because clearly old age was on their side as Vernon Davis hurdled his way to start the game with a touchdown. first opening season touchdown for Washington since 2004. Also probably the year Vernon Davis was drafted. Deshaun Jackson and Quentin Dunbar got into a scuffle, a tussle, a tiff, a dust-up, a brouhaha, a rumpus, or the rarely used Donnybrook. D-Jack, unlike Myles Jack after his roughhousing, scored 2 50-plus yard touchdowns in his return to Philly. That gives Jackson 30 touchdowns over 50 yards, moving him into second place behind only Jerry Rice. Eagles fans should be excited because after a slow start, their offense appears to have more weapons than necessary. But in a good way, which cannot be said for the Lethal Weapon movies. Falcons at Vikings. Atlanta has their asses handed to them in a 28-12 loss. Matt Ryan tried to throw the ball away in this game and it ended up just getting picked, which was the opposite of Kirk Cousins, who barely threw the ball and watched his team score 28 points. He was 8 of 10 for 98 yards and 1 touchdown in a 28-12 victory, like I already fucking said. It looks like the Vikings are going to rush the hell out of the ball this season, and the Falcons' crappy 2018 might not have been a fluke. Oh, the Dolphins got annihilated 59-10. Marquise Hollywood Brown had 130-plus yards and 2 touchdowns in the first fucking quarter. Are the Dolphins that bad, or are the Ravens that good? We can find out next week when the Patriots play the Dolphins. So if New England doesn't score 60 on Miami, then they are trash. Lamar Jackson started the game 10 for 10 for 210 yards and 4 touchdowns. Finished with 5 touchdowns, 324 passing yards. So he's 1 touchdown away from matching his total of last year. After the game, Lamar Jackson said,
"Probably not, but not bad for a running back."
"We all deserve that, Lamar. You balled." But even RG3 came in and threw a touchdown pass. He was 6 for 6 for 55 yards and a TD. So technically, he had a higher QB rating than you, Lamar. Quarterback controversy? Ryan Fitzpatrick set an NFL record throwing an interception for his 8th NFL franchise. More than any other Harvard grad. After which, Brian Flores decided it was time to see Josh Rosen, who came in and with no pressure to perform, took less than 2 minutes to throw an interception. This beatdown was so bad that Dolphins players are supposedly calling their agents and asking for trades, or to see if Andrew Luck has any open rooms in his luxury retirement community. This is according to Mike Florio, though, who's right about 50% of the time. Browns versus Titans. Tennessee wins 43-13. Browns offensive tackle Greg Robinson was ejected for kicking a Titan in the face, which sounds like the absolute most badass way to get ejected.
I kicked a Titan in the face, and I'll do it again to save my empire.
Unfortunately, the Browns' line is terrible, and the last thing they could afford was to lose their tackle. Baker Mayfield gave up the first safety of the season. So, the guy who woke up feeling dangerous, not taking safety seriously? Big surprise. Tennessee dominated this game. Could be the best team in the AFC South if their offense is legit. We knew their defense was good, but if Mariota can throw 3 touchdowns every week with 0 interceptions, get 1 huge play from Derrick Henry, and get multiple touchdowns from their defense, and have perfect kicking every single week, they may be a serious Super Bowl contender. I like Tennessee, I really do, but this might be the overreaction game of week 1. Baker Mayfield finished the game clutch. Interception, turnover on downs, pick 6. I didn't say it was a cool clutch like a Chanel, but a broken clutch that a regular Baker can't afford to fix on his salary. You gotta know what I'm thinking.
They ain't worried about it. I'm gonna tell you again, man. They were who we thought they were. Y'all can crown them if you want to crown them. You still gotta play football.
The Bills come back to beat the Jets 17-16. Just like you'd expect, this was an ugly game. Linebacker CJ Mosley scored the first touchdown because the ball bounced out of Cole Beasley's usually sure hands. Frank Gore scored a safety for the Jets, and Le'Veon Bell returned to the end zone on back-to-back plays. One for the touchdown, and the other a far more impressive 2-point conversion Hail Mary. A 19-yard, two-point conversion throw could only work against an AFC East team. Josh Allen, with 2 interceptions, somehow outplayed Sam Darnold, who threw the ball 41 times but for only 175 yards. The Patriots' path to the Super Bowl has never seemed easier. If you combined the scores of the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills today, they would have still lost to the Ravens by 16 points, but would have beaten the Patriots.
I'm a fault with.
The Chargers continue the pain for Colts fans with an overtime victory. Austin Ekeler had 2 receiving touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Justin Jackson also threw in 57 rushing yards with a 9.5 average. It's crazy the Chargers running backs did so well because the offensive line gave up 4 sacks. Kind of a sad story too, because today Adam Vinatieri looked like he lost his touch. He missed 2 field goals and an extra point, basically costing the Colts the game. And if you go back to last season, he missed 5 kicks in the last 2 games, including 2 extra points and a 23-yarder. Malik Hooker picked off Phillip Rivers in the end zone with a one-handed grab. NFL fans were losing their minds over that play. But a hooker being able to get the job done with one hand is a minimum requirement in my book. My little dirty book of how to be a good hooker. Phillip Rivers, of course, has never solicited a hooker. Not because he's opposed to straying from home, but because even if a hooker just used one hand with Rivers to finish him like Malik, we all know she'd still end up getting pregnant. And that is a weird way of saying the Chargers got a huge victory in overtime, finished by Austin Ekeler. The only Charger Ekeler didn't help today was Melvin Gordon. The Bengals lose a close one to the Seahawks, 21-20. DK Metcalf made his NFL debut and decided at the end of the game he'd remove his pacifier for the NFL's first ever sponsored gender reveal party. Regardless of the sex, the baby will be born more mature than Antonio Brown. Bengals receiver John Ross recorded the first multi-touchdown game of his career, a 33-yard and 55-yard touchdown bomb for the receiver. But all I will ever remember from this game is this Andy Dalton interception. Hopefully Dalton learned a thing or two from Big Ben. When you throw a pick to a defensive lineman, just blame your receiver. The Giants got trounced by the Cowboys 35-17. Saquon Barkley's first carry of the year goes for 59 yards. But Barkley is now poised to have a very Barry Sanders-like career with the terrible, terrible Giants. Dak Prescott threw for 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, and appears to have a lethal receiving group with Gallup, Cooper, both going over 100, Cobb, Jarwin, and even Jason Witten, who found the end zone quicker than he could ever find words in the broadcast booth. That obligatory Jason Witten joke aside, I would give significant money to have listened to Jason Witten do the live play-by-play of when his cleats got fused with Giants corner Antonio Hamilton. Whatever the hell happened here forced team trainers to cut the cleats apart with scissors. A metaphor for what it will take to get Witten out of that Cowboys uniform again. 49ers beat the Buccaneers 31-17 in a game that was a lot closer than the score suggests. Quan Alexander tried to decapitate former teammate Jameis Winston and got ejected for the helmet-to-helmet hit on a sliding QB, becoming the 3rd player ejected week 1. Quan Alexander's hit was intentional because he wasn't ready to be out in public with his ex. The divorce has been finalized and some mutual friends throw a party, but you don't want to go because you're still single and she's dating a rich, sophisticated older man who has more style than you ever did. I don't blame Quan for wanting to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. The 49ers defense finished with 3 interceptions, one more than the 2 they had all of 2018, and famous Jameis made sure 2 of those went for touchdowns. And we have a week 1 tie between the Cardinals and Lions. Kyler Murray became the first athlete to ever be drafted in the first round of the MLB and the NFL, and the first NFL quarterback to be sacked by his own offensive lineman game 1. I know linemen don't have hops, okay? But how the hell do you not hurdle Kyler Murray? Murray had a pretty horrific first 3 quarters of the game, and then a brilliant 4th quarter that resulted in the tie. It's almost like I have seen this before. 3 quarters of bad play and then 1 quarter of amazing QB play. The Lions look like the most improved team from last year. The Cardinals look like the most improved team since the start of this game. Arizona had their asses saved by Lions offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell calling a timeout for no reason on 3rd down that cost his team the 1st down, the ability to run out the clock, and ultimately the victory. The only coach on a new team this year to win so far is Matt LaFleur with the Packers, although I am sure Cliff Kingsbury is more than happy with a tie. And everything concluded on Sunday Night Football. Steelers, Patriots. Patriots win because the Pats are still good and the Steelers are still good at losing to the Pats. And Michael Bennett apparently didn't go to a real college.
Michael Bennett, Wakanda forever!
Some parts of NFL football are innocent fun, like the sounds of Al Michaels laughing when the Steelers center forgets to snap the ball.
Well, you put a new center in the game.
False start. Offense. All alignment except for the center. It's a 5-yard penalty.
And some parts of the NFL are disgusting. Like, when Antonio Brown likes a tweet about Mike Mayock being sodomized. Based on the grammar from this tweet, which had a couple lines that read, "The most stupidest human popsicle on the planet," continued, "and I hope Antonio Brown win his money in arbitration." Makes me think this is an Antonio Brown burner account. I mean, nobody who spells win knows what arbitration is. And if the sex were in the behind, as sodomy would suggest, why would an arbitration even be needed? Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I won't recap all the games like this every Sunday. Probably do more of a top 10 type thing. But I got carried away today. I got a little carried away. I'm on Twitter, Instagram at Brandon Perna. And make sure you follow my writing partner at Wilkie6 on Twitter as well.